Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Here we are. Oh, can you hear Jay?
You should be able to hear me.
Oh boy. We're trying a little bit of different things. So he's not in my
Yeah.
headphones right now because he's in the room with me.
I am in the room.
Although I can't see him.
Hello.
But there he is.
In the room.
Yep.
So essentially, I'm just set up behind Corey. We figured we were doing some demonstrating for like kind of small scale, how I usually run streams like on remote gigs and stuff. So we figured we'd go over this, and I think Corey's got some stuff to show you. So everything should still work. I guess, one thing we did forget, we got to get your HDMI. Oh no, I can do it over NDI. It just might take me a second.
Oh yeah, sorry. Totally. I should be broadcasting.
Corey's screen. But so essentially, this is about like, for this kind of stream, this is about as small as I can get the setup. There are still 3 cameras, one here, got the overhead camera and the Corey's main camera. So I'm switching all that on the ATEM over here, and this has 4 different inputs. I've shown this on the stream before. It's kind of the heart of the whole thing, running OBS on my laptop over Wi-Fi. Seems to work pretty good. I haven't actually tested like streaming on the Wi-Fi here, but we have a pretty solid connection. So, but the ATEM's handling all the video stuff, and then the Audient here is doing all the music stuff. Now this is what we used to use on stream, but it's small enough that I can pack it around pretty easily. Our new mixer it's quite a bit, probably twice the size of this. You could definitely pack it around, but it's got more knobs and things on it that I would want to, like, I don't know, they probably make carrying cases for them, don't they, Corey?
Totally.
Yeah, so.
They also make a smaller one. That's like the second size up, I think.
Okay.
I think there's a smaller one.
So
We chose that mixer because it has a bunch more features that are really important for the stream, including extra inputs and outputs for routing multiple mixes to places and multiple inputs. But for the most part, like event streaming stuff that we've been doing is like, you really like 4 channels is plenty, couple lavs and like a feed from a board somewhere, which is exactly what we've got going on here. There's my mic, Jay's mic, and then 2 channels coming out of my drum machine / audio interface.
yeah, I don't know how well you can see it here, but there's the labs going in, the left and right channel, which are then controlled independently, and the, perfect. Then the, both the left and right stereo channels from Corey's drum machine. Is that what it is?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the simplest it can get, really. I mean, you could do just one camera if you wanted to, back in the ATEM here. And then if you didn't need, the only reason I've got the Audient here is because I have the, because of Corey's drum machine and getting the audio from his computer, kind of requires this extra input. So if I just had the little Rode Goes like I usually am using for audio, for dialogue stuff, this can actually be used as a sort of like a tiny little audio interface that only takes its own inputs. But you can plug this into the USB on your computer, and it just shows up as an audio source. So
Does that thing have a, right, it has an output, so you could like monitor it with the output as well? Can you use that? Can you like use that thing as like a headphone output?
yeah, well, I could monitor it then through OBS. Is what I would
like
do.
using your like built-in headphone jack or whatever.
Right, so I could just like, in OBS it has the like monitor and output settings, so you can, I would just have right now my headphones are just plugged into the audience so that I can hear us and everything. But I could also just plug it right into my laptop, which is what I usually do if I'm monitoring stuff.
Totally.
But if you do it this way, the biggest thing you have to worry about, your biggest challenge, is that all this equipment can work. One is powering things, and the other is having a good internet connection.
Sync, also, the third thing.
Oh yeah, I'm probably really off sync right now. I don't know how well you can tell, but the ATEM has a lot of latency to it, so if I really wanted this to be all synced together, you probably tell if you're watching at home that I'm probably moving slower than I'm actually talking. The picture is behind the dialogue because I'm not running audio through the ATEM. There are settings in this that you could use to sync it up. I could do it in OBS. It's just like wrestle with it so much that one day I'll solve this problem, but as long as I'm using the ATEM, I'm probably always going to have some kind of sync issue. It just how it works. It's got a lot of processing. It takes a lot to decode all these HDMI inputs. So just kind of one of the downsides to it if you're running separate audio. So
the solution probably is like figuring out how to delay the stream's audio without delaying our audio that we're monitoring, which can probably be done in OBS. But if you're monitoring with OBS, then that would make your audio late. There's like all sorts of weird things to consider with that, and it's a real pain. And especially when we're switching setups, switching interfaces, like different audio interfaces and their drivers will be different. And a lot of moving parts here in this thing, even though it's such a simple. I feel like the stream is so simple, but there's a lot happening up here.
Right. And the one workaround I've found with the Rode Goes too is if I run one of these through a camera, so if I use this as the camera's audio and then take the audio feed right into the ATEM over HDMI, that is probably the closest to no sync issues that I can get. Because then it's like the camera feed is synced up, like the camera's audio is now the lav, and so that tends to be a pretty good connection. Though I've had issues with it in the past, and it's not as reliable, and I don't like having this too far away from me, because if I can't monitor it, and like if a camera's, you know, on the other side of the room or whatever, I can't really check it to see. Like if one of the lavs dies, then I have no idea if it's like on top of a camera somewhere. So
totally,
you know, there's pros and cons to it, but
plus the Rodes have their own little bit of inherent latency. It's pretty negligible, and doesn't seem to affect us too bad. But that's another piece of this puzzle. We could spend a whole day just troubleshooting this one aspect of the stream, but we don't have a lot of time to do that kind of stuff. So we're doing it when we can.
Yeah, well, but this is, like I said, probably the most compact you can get this. You can get rid of the audio if you don't need their computer audio. A lot of times I'll like have, if someone's doing a presentation or something, I'll have an HDMI splitter that then goes from their computer or whatever out to the splitter, and then one HDMI goes to the projector and the other goes to the ATEM, and that works really good for getting a nice clean image of your, if you have like a presenter or something, that usually works really well for that. So a little HDMI splitter comes in handy a lot of times. And altogether, we've got a crate over here, and the whole setup will sit in that crate, and I can pretty much just take that whole thing and go with it, and that's it. So it fits tripods, fits everything, works out pretty good. So yeah, but I think that's all I had for the little tour. We just wanted to set it up since we were demoing it, and kind of give you an idea of what it can look like if it's if you're just like on the road using the same kind of stuff. So
totally.
Yeah.
I noticed we have someone commenting in the chat about the idea of delaying the audio source that outputs to the stream, but not the one that's monitored. That's exactly the thing that we need to do. You should be able to do that from within OBS if you open the advanced audio properties. I think there's like a delay option.
Yeah.
But setting that thing is really difficult. We have to be able to monitor the stream, which is, for a number of reasons, is really challenging to do when you're also on the stream.
Then go back and kind of watch it afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, we like what we should do, and maybe we should plan on doing this soon if this is, it'd be cool to solve this problem. And we don't really have to. We could probably solve it on a per setup basis.
Right.
Like there's probably a specific value that the ATEMs adds amount of latency latencycy that we could compensate for. Whatever. That's a thing. It was speculative, but we haven't solved it yet. So
yeah, within OBS. I know when we first started to put together, it's okay. When we first started to put together the setup, we were really messing around a lot with the audio sync and stuff, and that was like the big thing to solve. These lapel mics, and I've said it before on stream, that they've been like game changer as far as just like simplicity on like the capturing of the audio side. Now it's just a matter of getting everything to kind of line up with different things, and sometimes we're using like in the studio, when we normally do this, I have one of the Elgato 4K capture cards so that I can do like our split screen thing that we normally have. I can't really do that with the ATEM. There was ways, but you have to get into the software, and that's a whole nother thing. But having two capture cards also introduces different latency. And so it's like, if I'm on sync and my audio is synced, Corey's might be off because he's being captured with a different device. And it's like a whole thing. So, you know, it all depends on your setup and what you're working with. A lot of times the easiest way is just to run audio through your cameras if you're using the ATEM. But if we had more like pro grade like broadcast equipment, it would be a totally different story. But working with kind of the you know, prosumer level stuff, you know, finding those workarounds can be challenging, especially if you have a very particular setup. Like how many other people are using this audient with this ATEM with, you know, with these microphones, and so it's kind of a hard thing to look up and troubleshoot. But you know, just trial and error, I guess, and it gets better all the time. So.
Yep. You pay a lot of money for things to just be really stable or dependable, or like have some sort of protocol that you don't have to mess around with. And likewise, you can save a lot of money by taking on those tasks yourself.
Right.
Yeah. There's you know, the reason that like big studios spend big money on big fancy products is so they don't have to troubleshoot. They just make media.
Or they have someone whose one job is to troubleshoot, and that's all.
Probably they still do.
Yeah,
you know.
they have one tech.
I'm sure anyone who's out there works in a big media production thing and heard me say that is like just yelling at their screen right now. So I apologize. But you know, it's a different story. You know, like I mean, I've had a range of gear. I don't have a lot of like super pro like digital gear necessarily, but I've worked on the gamut of it, and like there's a lot more like driver messing around with that has to happen on cheap gear sometimes just to like make it work. Where like some nicer things, once you get them set up, tend to just work.
Right, and I think our studio will get there eventually. Yeah. Once we kind of have our. When you've got like a mobile setup and a in-studio setup, and it's the same thing, and you have to take it apart every time, it's sort of introduces a lot of potential for issues.
Yeah, if you plug things in differently, like you know, the nice thing about that thing sitting in that room and all those things staying plugged in where you have them is that like your mixes stay consistent. So like, I know you can save presets on that little mixer, but if you don't plug everything back in the same way, your presets aren't very helpful. Yeah. You know, and so just like. It's really nice to have separate stuff that's like your home and your away stuff, you know. Totally. But that's a luxury that not everyone can afford. It's a privilege to have it. Very nice. All right. Yeah, you want to say anything else about your setup back there?
I don't think so. That's pretty much it. Yeah, it's fun to build this stuff out and make it work. You know, you sort of over time you streamline it and make it work for you, and that's pretty much it.
Yep.
So, all right, I think Corey's got some stuff to show you guys. I'm going to be running things back here, and yeah.
Great. Some comments? Were you able to grab me over NDI?
Oh yeah, let me work on that.
Okay, cool. What do I want to talk about right now? So I was thinking that today would be fun. Well, I wanted to have some sort of like hardware so we could play with the switcher and have a reason to have a top-down view. So I brought my TR-8S back, partially because I want to show it off, partially because I want to keep messing with it. I wanted to try something a bit different with it today. I brought this thing out on a previous stream to show about like a computerless jamming sort of setup. But one thing that's really cool about this unit is that it functions it works really well with the computer. So it functions as an audio interface, and it's pretty wild. It's a lot of the times when you have like a sound making device that also works as an audio interface, like maybe if you're lucky, it'll you can record the 2-channel output in and out. But this thing records 14 channels and has 8 outputs over USB. So my setup right now is I just have a single USB cable connecting to my computer. And then I'm taking audio out of the drum machine to the stream. Since it's working as an audio interface, I can, like all of my playback from my computer comes through there. So I have queued up, you don't have to see it, or you won't be able to see it yet, I don't think, but I can play you a little bit of this audio. So hopefully you're hearing that. Maybe.
Yeah, it's working. There you go. You just gotta turn down.
Yeah, this is quiet here in this
Okay.
section. I promise it'll get louder when we're done with the stream. So anyway, so I have like, I can play Ableton and it pops right out the drum machine, which is super cool. And then like I said, so it's got 8 outputs. There's on the back, there's a bunch of these assignable outputs. So in addition to these 2 master ones, there's 6 individual assignable ones. So I could have like specific sounds on here going to specific hardware outputs. So if I wanted to, like say, for some twisted reason, oh, that's interesting. If I wanted to, for some bizarre reason, like route this through another mixer, I could do that. I'm not sure why I'd want to, but definitely for recording, if I was gonna like get really stoked on making a pattern in here and I wanted to make a recording that was like, that I could then edit in a multi-track way instead of just like editing a 2-track of all my drums, I can do that. And then like over a digital connection though, like I can record all of the drums to their own channels. There's 11 channels of drums here available, but there's 14 in available. So I think in addition to my 11 channels, there's the master audio, and then there's also the external input that I can record, all individually. Very, very cool. So the other thing it does over USB is it syncs via MIDI. So I can have this thing operate as the master clock for my session, or I can do the opposite. And I have it set up to do the opposite. So I don't know if you noticed, but when I started my session, it's kind of hard to tell, but it's got my sequencers running. It probably, with the sync being so off, it's probably hard to tell that this thing is running perfectly in time with my session. And so I can create drum patterns here. And like I could program a session here that's like all digital computer synths and samples and stuff, and then create a drum pattern over here. So that's what I was thinking I'd do today. This thing that you're hearing is a track that I honestly can't remember if I made this on the stream or not. It's from that, maybe you could tell me, does this sound familiar to you, Jay? You've probably heard this before. This.
A little bit. Not right offhand. Maybe I'll.
Yeah, it's been a while. This is an old thing I
Old
made
one.
when we were doing a lot of those longer streams, and I was like pushing out a bunch of content that way. And this is like maybe the least, they're like the most like ambient and like least rhythmic of the tracks that I made. So I was thinking it'd be interesting to try and like add something that was less ambient and more rhythmic to this project. Jay's still working on grabbing my screen. I'm not really sure.
I'm not sure what's going on with that.
Yeah.
Could you restart it for me, maybe?
NDI?
Sure. Yeah.
Yep. Real quick, here we go.
There's another part of this that we're using is NDI for at least the screen capture. Saves us an HDMI input, but sometimes it's a little bit finicky. We had it set up where it was working the whole, like all the time in the studio.
We're sending it to a different computer. You can always run an HDMI cable if you want.
Yeah, I may have to.
So anyways, I thought I'd just like sort of like show you how this might go. I think I have a goal maybe of like making this into like making an edit of this track that's like more like upbeat and danceable, because I think it's kind of fun, like has like real like emo kind of chord progression, kind of like, you know, like. You know, it's just a little emotional hook thing. So I want to like kind of like up the energy level though, because it's all sleepy times. So maybe I'll like kind of just like I can like play it and I'll just start building a beat here on the drum machine, which will mostly take place on the top-down cam anyways, while Jay switches out and grabs the HDMI of my display. Can you switch to the top-down cam?
Yeah.
So drum machine, I sort of vaguely demoed this previously, so I'm not going to go too deep into like the features, but I'm just going to like try and like start making something and show you what like that's actually like. So I've pulled up like a demo pattern here, but I've cleared it, so it shouldn't be playing anything now. If I get into instrument play mode, we can hear the individual sounds. Some like 808 kit. I don't really want an 808 kit. I'm feeling like a dancy lad, and I want to hear some 909 stuff. So I'm going to switch out my instruments. So here's my bass drum selector. Switch it from the 808 sounds to the 909. I get a few options. Let's go with the basic one. And then we'll just like get into TR-Rec mode and make kind of a basic pattern. I'm not really sure what kind of drum feel I'm looking for. Let's actually get a snare too, and then we'll sort of create a feeling. So what do our snares like? I don't mind that as much. Interesting like hissy decay on that sample. This must be... Is that triggering the reverb? No, it's just a hissy. I kind of like that. Cool, nice and snappy, like a good snape. So, ooh, I think that's. It was very interesting what happened, but I think you should have it now.
All right, well let's double check and see if that worked. Yep, there it is.
That's looking good. Here's my computer, folks. It's cool. Right. So I'm just gonna hit play, and then we'll just like start making a pattern. So like my tune will play, and my sequence will run in sync, and I'm just gonna make some noise. I'll probably want snares on 2 and 4. So or maybe we'll do a little funky pattern, and I'll program in a little like 2-step. So I'll start something like. Interesting, the tune knob on that snare doesn't seem to do much. What's up with that? So I still don't like fully understand what's going on sometimes in this thing. But you can go in here and like edit the individual instrument parameters and see if like it's doing anything weird that we don't like. So interesting. Is it the snappy? I do like the snappy. Cool, let's not worry about it too much. Cool. So notice if I have this thing playing and then hit play over here, things get weird. It's still synchronized, but it's not synchronizing the start and stop. So I gotta trigger the transport from Ableton. Perfect. So let's get like an offbeat open hi-hat going. Yeah, I'm feeling like this feels like more like a, kind of like a garagey kind of beat or something. Or should I you say garage, right? UK garage, kind of or like a 2-step kind of thing. So like, what do I mean when I say 2-step? So here's a 4 on the floor drum beat. Right? 4 on the floor. So 2-step. It's just 2 kicks per pattern instead of 4. So there's like so much interesting rhythm that happens just changing that stuff around. I think that's the vibe. So I found a cool parameter earlier when I was messing around with this. Come on. In these individual instruments, I can go in here and edit the attack on them. Or at least I had luck doing that with another one of these. Ah, not this particular one. So some of these, depending on whether they're like a sample or like synthesized, they'll either let you do this or they won't. So I wonder if I can find one that like lets me do that. Well, that's kind of interesting. So let's see if we can get in there. I see a decay parameter, but I don't see. Oh, here we go. Attack. Cool. I like that. Cool. I think this is a good foundation for a groove. I'm going to keep experimenting with a couple other ideas. So my thought here is I'm going to build a pattern that's kind of like big and interesting, and then I'm going to like take some little pieces of my tune and like build up something with it. So maybe I won't get too much more into this, but. I really like that sound. Super simple little like rim shot. Add some nice texture. So cool. I feel like this is like an acceptable groove. Like I wouldn't hate listening to this for a minute. So my tune isn't really like built here in a way that like feels like it wants to accommodate this. Like if you check out my screen here. It's just like a long, this is an arrangement that I've frozen, but really it's just like 3 loops with a bunch of automation that I've frozen down. This pink thing is actually some drums I tried to record earlier, which maybe will make their way into this project, maybe they won't. But yeah, I feel like this isn't really like very sensible in terms of an arrangement. So I want to like see if I can like do a little quick like remixing of this. Should have found a better place for my mouse. One thing that's kind of annoying about this is that if I turn the volume down on the whole drum machine, I lose the volume of my entire thing. So I have to turn the volume of the individual drum channels down, which is like a little bit of a pain. So I'm thinking about like, yeah, I was gonna like, I'll do this thing, you know, like, so this is a remix, right? So I'm taking stems of my original track and I'm gonna like take that and turn it into something else. Probably just like for organizational sake, I'm going to like duplicate my tracks so I can pull from the original tracks and still have like a fresh copy in case I don't like any of the changes. So I'll mute the things I don't want. And here we go. So I'll let maybe that first chunk of the tune play back like the way it does. So we'll like, you know, for all the people who really know the song super well, which is like literally nobody because it's unreleased, they can, it'll be like a little like preview of like, oh yeah, I know this tune. So obviously this bass line doesn't work super great there anymore. That's kind of fun. So bing, boom, bing, boom. That's kind of fun. Weird little artifact. Fun. What happens if we turn that up super loud? Mega loud. Make it loud. It's kind of weird. I don't know if I like it. Vetoed. Let's find another thing to add to it, and then we'll bring her something from this bass track. Probably find a better version of this. Yeah. Let's like make a groove out of this. We'll go like dunk 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 dunk. One of those kind of things. Dunk dunk. Dunk dunk dunk. Technical terms. Like this. Oh. Gosh, play the right track. Just trying to keep it real simple, but it's starting to sound kind of like dance music, eh? You know? It's fun. Instantly, it's like, it starts feeling like a tune. So what else happens when that happens? Cool. So we're here, a little transition moment here. Whoa. I'm gonna do a little changing of this rhythm. I want some claps in here too. Find another like light version of that little bass line. Let's find different notes for that. I didn't like those. Cool. Starting to feel like something. So I have like an idea of like it's gonna loop like this for a second. So how I go about like applying this thing that I've created here into this track, right? We want to like actually use it. I'm thinking about like, there's a couple different ways you could approach this. I could like record a whole performance on this thing and then like edit it. I could also like record bits and pieces of it and edit it. I could also just like record like a loop and chop that up, and you know, there's a whole bunch of ways I could come at this. What I'm thinking right now makes sense to me is like trying to like maybe record like some loops out of it at least, like and get some like structured loops, and then maybe like do a little performance-y thing and like layer that. I see that we don't have a terribly much long left in the stream, so we'll see what we can get to. Let's just like smack record and see what happens here. So like here's where like the like stuff comes in, and so I'm gonna like start with my like snare in and introduce the open hi-hats, I think. So here we go. Cool. So I got a little bit of something. It was fine. And then let's just get a take of it with like all those drums in right here. Boom. Oh, hey, where did my MIDI mapping go? I MIDI mapped that key a while back. Oh, it's because this is an old project. Here, Controller Command M. Click on the thing you want, and then click on the thing you'd like to map it to. Normally it works. Oh, I'm in MIDI mapping. I want key mapping mode. Command K. Boom. I really like this mapping of where I have the tilde key mapped to the record button. There is another function, like I think it's F9 or F10 or something like that. But because I use a laptop keyboard, I don't have like a full function row, and I have to hit blah blah blah. I just like to hit this button.
That's a nice feature.
Huh?
That's a nice feature that you can just like hotkey things like right in.
Oh, it's like
built into.
Yeah, it's so convenient.
I've never
just
seen
like
anything
literally,
like that
and
before.
like I mean, you can see just how like I can hotkey selecting specific tracks. I could have like a key be like, oh, select track 1.
Wow. Huh.
Any of the I could hotkey the selection of the monitoring mode of each track when it's armed.
That's
if we have any like
awesome.
Instruments, I don't have any instruments queued up right now. These are all audio tracks. If we had instruments queued up, you could hotkey everything in a device,
Wow.
including its selection, its power button, any button you can push in there.
That's awesome. Yeah, the closest thing Blender has is like you can quick favorite stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, you could go and like you have to dig through the preferences to change hotkeys, but like that is pretty awesome. And
so
it's per project,
you're
or
going to
what?
be less excited when you find out that it's on a per project basis.
Oh, okay. So you have to like set it up for yourself every time.
So you have to create templates. So my default
I
template
see.
has this mapping, but
Okay.
this is an old project from before I made that template, and so it doesn't have the mapping.
Ah, I see.
But it's
that's
pretty-
still really nice how quick it is too.
Yeah, it's pretty quick to do, huh?
Yeah. You definitely find that useful. in
Yeah.
software.
Ableton is amazing, right? And it's really neat. So if you have like your own setup,
Right.
Or you know, like you can, like, I should like come in with my APC40 sometime and like dork out about like hardcore mappings, because I like made some like really deep mappings for that thing for a live show, where I like completely reassigned. It's a pretty standard like mixer controller with like a channel strip, but I reassigned like all the buttons to like trigger effects, and like it was really cool. I had a really cool setup going. I haven't used it since I think it was running on Live 10. It was quite some time ago, and so I haven't used it in Live 11 yet, and it's probably completely broken at this point. But we'll see. Anyways, let's get something with the full or like a fuller loop going in here right now. Well, I didn't mean to trigger the delay there. I accidentally did that. That's kind of cool. But I did like that sound of the reverb coming off. That was kind of neat. So the cool thing about doing these like edited chunks is like that reverb will like sound like it's getting louder and then just die away instantly, or should if this was recorded correctly. Whoa, my mouse is moving very slow all of a sudden. You get that kind of sound. Gosh, this is so spicy sounding. I feel like this output of this thing sounds like pretty like bright to me. So something that I really like to do anytime I'm like kind of griping about that in Ableton, there's a bunch of different ways you can solve that. But a really quick thing to reach for is a channel EQ. Well, no wonder it sounds so bright. Huh. I had this crazy EQ curve set up when I was demoing something for Quentin earlier. This would probably sound a lot better. Much nicer in my ears. I do still want to like tame those highs. I really like this knob on this particular EQ for taming high frequencies because it combines two curves, a high shelf and a high cut, to really get, it's a sweet move that is just one knob. Oh yeah. Something else that's really annoying about this setup, I don't know if you just caught this, but when we were monitoring that just now, we were hearing the drums twice. We were hearing this, hearing my machine playing live and then hearing the recording too. So I got to pull these down to hear. So I felt like this knob wasn't doing much, and it wasn't because I was hearing it twice. Now it's going to do a lot. Cool. I feel like this is already sounding like something that I like. It's nice. Let's see. Let's just hear what our like little like progression is, and maybe we'll track some like some of these open hi-hats in here or something like, I don't know, something. Oh, my track's not armed. Oops. Probably want that. I didn't like how that sounded anyways. We'll let it play out by itself at first. Yeah, I like this kind of idea, like switching the harmonies. I'm just gonna like mangle this track. Let's get really weird with it. I'm gonna like da 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 da. I can pitch that down like that to get that result. Slide these guys back over. Let's do the opposite, and we'll like pitch these ones up. That's kind of a fun sound. I like this kind of vibe. Like, this is like old school like compositions from like the like weird African music, like guitar music that I like to listen to. I shouldn't call it weird. It's great and beautiful. They do this stuff where they just like move a whole step up and a whole step down with a major chord a bunch. Yeah, it's kind of cool. You know, we can get a little more drums in here real quick. You know, some like. Cool. I just wanted to throw little variations in there. Now I got them. So that's fun. So we'll have like a little like. There's like room for a little drum break in there. How are we doing on time? We're moving right along. Okay, so. I'm gonna find some different notes for this thing now. There we are. And I like, so the thing that's fun about this is like this sound here like has this like weird other stuff in the background. Thanks for the nice words on the chat. Appreciate it. So what I'm thinking about here is I'm thinking about like this isn't just like a techno tune where it's like just one note or there's not like harmony. Like there's a chord progression and a melody here, and so I'm trying like if I'm selecting bits of these to sample that are where it's playing one chord, if I grab the other chords, it's gonna sound bad together. So that's why some of these are getting pitched up, some of them are getting pitched down, some of them are just I'm just grabbing the sounds. I could probably talk you through each one of these clips individually, but just kind of soaking up the ideas here. Does this thing ever do that? Like, ba, ba, ba? Yeah, we'll grab this thing here. Okay, this might be cool, might not. Let's take a sneak peek here. Cool. Look, we're already pushed. We're riding into a limiter, but we're not even coming close to hitting it. This track is loud as heck, and it's gonna get louder. We're gonna swap that limiter out for the color limiter, which is more colorful sounding and has saturation. Hey, that's nice. Cool. Let's crank it. Still barely engaging the limiter, so upwards we go. Let's tame those drums a bit too, because that's like yowzers. So drum bus and this thing, like the dampening thing here is what we want. What the dampening does is it's like a high cut, but I'm not really sure what the curve looks like, but it sounds good. So that's feeling pretty spicy. It's still really bright to my ears. Okay. I know why. You guys, I'm switched headphones. I'm wearing my Sony's. It's the MDR 7506s. These are like your super bog standard tracking headphones. I hate mixing on these headphones. Some people love them. They're so standard. Like, people love these things. They're comfortable. I like wearing them. I like tracking with them, but I find that when I make mixed choices on them, they do not translate well. And that's partially me not knowing them well, and partially they have a massive spike in their frequency response at 10K. So I always think things I'm doing on these headphones sound overly bright. People will tell you these are like awesome flat headphones, but you can look up the frequency response charts yourself and see. They have a massive, it's like 8 dB or 10 dB spike around 10. It's like super loud. big spike in the response at 10K. And so everything sounds kind of like harsh to me, and I end up like dialing those frequencies out in ways that then doesn't translate super well because it's just in my ears right now. So anyways, I'm going to remember that and not worry about this too much more. The things tend to sound a little like slappy in these headphones. But now those drums are sounding nice and tight. Probably got a little louder. Yeah, they did. And now we're hitting that limiter real good. So let's hear how that sounds from a point earlier in the tune. I'm also noticing that we're minutes away from the end of this stream, so I'm gonna let this play out. I felt for some reason the drums were more solid in the take before that, so I'm just gonna paste that in and swing this back, so I like that. Drum break.
Yeah, we gotta start doing the MARZ tracks on our YouTube. Getting like your finished,
like actually
stream
uploading
tracks.
them. Yeah, totally.
Do some visualizers or something.
Yeah, thank you for saying nice things. I'm glad that you like this. I have been so inspired by this drum machine. It's been so cool. I never thought it was something I wanted, and I love doing drums in Ableton. That's like maybe my favorite thing to do in Ableton. But like everything coming out of this thing sounds so good to my ears. Here, I'll just like, what else is even in here? I'll just like play some like a random pattern. Here's the pattern I made earlier. Like, oh, if it'll play. Oh, I might have accidentally erased it. Oops. This is a demo pattern. This is just the drum machine. Like it does all this itself. It's crazy. It just does like so much. Oh, here's the pattern I made. little sillier sounding maybe. Anyways, I like the grooves that come out of here, just like the turn of the shuffle knob is so much easier than like messing with the groove pool and like trying to make things groove in Ableton. It's like, I love the sounds, I love the ease of use, I love programming it, I love faders for mixing it, like getting hands-on and making things like organic with an electronic instrument is like, it's a great workflow. So I'm really loving it, super fun. Yeah, so, but this has been distracting me from finishing tracks. So I'm having so much fun playing with it. So I have a whole big back catalog that I need to work through. That's probably a winter project for me.
Yeah. Well, cool, awesome.
Yes.
I guess we'll get wrapping it up and yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna save this one. I'll keep tweaking on it. Maybe you'll hear it coming out soon. This thing that this is an edit of is also an unreleased song that it will be coming out at some point, someday.
Someday, sometime.
Yes. It's hard to carve time out to do your own creative pursuits when you are in the habit of helping other people with theirs.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm doing my best. Grateful to do it here on the stream. And thanks for tuning in. It's really nice to have people chatting in. It makes me feel like I'm not screaming into the void. So thank you very much.
Awesome. All right, everybody. We will catch you next week. Same place, same time.
Yes, indeed. Take care. See you.
All right.